It was only inevitable that Alfred Hitchcock would be discussed in this series. For today it shall be 1956's The Wrong Man, starring Henry Fonda. The most immediately Kafka-like, and yes, I said that on purpose to annoy you, of Hitchcock's work, The Wrong Man deserves immense praise for transparently illustrating the human nervous system. Henry Fonda's Manny, a jazz double bassist living in New York, is accused of a crime he did not commit. Manny's wife requires a dental procedure that will cost $300, and so he visits an insurance company to ask if he can borrow the money. It is here that the staff believe him to be a man who has twice now held them up. And so, afterward, just moments before Manny can enter his home, the police prevent him, taking him in for questioning. Almost the whole first half of the film takes place during this night. Manny is identified as the criminal by several witnesses, as his suspect has also robbed a liquor store and a delicatessen. Manny assertively, unaggressively, insists his innocence, for the police are adamant about small coincidences, be it trivial errors like spelling draw without an ER, to more general suspicions of motivation, namely Manny's financial situation. The Wrong Man is communicated beautifully, one of the most articulate films ever made. There are no wasted shots. Every angle makes a successful impression. Each zoom or pan is enrapturing and decisive, and the close-ups are so considered they make me recall the stirring majesties of silent era's faces. In many respects, The Wrong Man is technical filmmaking 101. Certain directorial or editing choices of the film might be seen as quaint in 2021, which I find to be unfortunate. It would take grotesque hubris to dismiss such moments as dated, for these are fundamental extensions of cinema's uniqueness, and they are weaved so beautifully into the picture's purpose. The two moments of the film that most represent this are the whirling frame as we exit Manny's first night in prison, a moment which, coupled with Bernard Herrmann, delivers a kind of stark sublimity which was as uncommon and novelty in 1956 as it would be today, and would likely be embraced in a contemporary picture for the exact same reasons, as opposed to dismissed because, haha, old things exist. And secondly, of course, is the phenomenal piece of double exposure toward the film's climax, contrasting Manny's praying face with the approaching sinister gaze of the real criminal before we outright transition to solely the thief's mug. This clean juxtaposition makes this chilling case of mistaken identity seem so unfortunately plausible. If you are not careful, The Wrong Man's technical exuberance, at least outside of those two clear manifestations, can seem so ubiquitous and essential so as to be unnoticed. I do speculate whether my assuming Hitchcock's technical genius within The Wrong Man being not so overt or perhaps even outright subtle is a byproduct of my being born in 1996. Compared to other films of the time, Hitchcock's appear to stand out remarkably as works of fierce technical finesse. "I am a filmmaker," he silently screams. But again, I don't know, how can I truly know this for sure? I was not alive in 1956, but I do imagine that, especially in 1956, The Wrong Man would have bowled over cinema fans as a piece of hypnotizing filmic enunciation. I am especially inclined to believe so, as no dialogue of this film I consider complete without a reference to Jean-Luc Godard's longest piece of film criticism. Godard, reviewing The Wrong Man upon its release, was utterly enthralled. I will discuss his piece here, and I shall be quoting from it somewhat greedily, because it is such a mesmerizing, passionate piece in and of itself, brimming with an almost psychic insight into base film effectiveness. Quote, "The only suspense in The Wrong Man is that of chance itself. The subject of this film lies less in the unexpectedness of events than in their probability. With each shot, each transition, each composition, Hitchcock does the only thing possible for the rather paradoxical but compelling reason that he could do anything he liked." Unquote. On the close-ups, the beauty of each of these close-ups, with their searching attention to the passage of time, comes from the sense that necessity is intruding on triviality, essence on existence. A more detailed description that follows eventually, but the sense of a machine grinding inexorably on is made even stronger by the fact that the police, witnesses, and decor are all rather grey, seedy, and weird. Here the script effortlessly acquires that naturalness and invention which distinguished all Griffiths films. As a result, a simple procedure like the reverse angle shot recovers its original effectiveness thanks to the truth of the plot's premises. The shot changes are conditioned solely and simply by changes in viewpoint. For instance, when the two insurance company ladies have to pick out Balestrero from a line of suspects, a lesser director might have used a lateral tracking shot as they count 1, 2, 3, 4. Alternating between the woman and the police, and coming to rest each time on Fonda, who is fourth in the identity parade. But this way we would be given only the separate viewpoints of the women, the police, and the innocent suspect. Hitchcock gives us them all rolled into one. We hear but do not see the women counting to 4. The camera turns away from Fonda for a shot of the police chief, whose eyes move 4 times in succession. A close-up of the inspector would also have been a mistake, for it is not his point of view which matters. His eyes move with professional detachment, without expression, but Ballestero is Manny, just to be clear, whom one imagines to be terrified precisely because of this mechanical response. To jump ahead, as this adventure is lived, he presents it like Bresson without embellishment. Ballestero enters his cell, he looks at the bed, reverse angle of the bed, the wash basin, reverse angle of the wash basin. He looks up, reverse angle of the ceiling, and when he looks at the bars, reverse angle of the bars. We realize that he is seeing without looking. Just as during the trial, he hears without listening. Once again, Alfred Hitchcock proves that the cinema today is better fitted than either philosophy or novel to convey the basic data of consciousness. Beautiful. Some more. To look around oneself is to live free, so the cinema, which reproduces life, must film characters who look around them. The tragedy of Christopher Emmanuel Ballestero, this is Manny of course, is that he can no longer look around. And Hitchcock is right to claim that The Wrong Man is not a suspense film like his previous ones, because it is the reverse. The suspense no longer even stems from the fact that what one knew would happen does happen, as in The Man Who Knew Too Much, but on the contrary from the fact that what one was afraid of happening does not finally happen. Fantastic piece. Godard's enthusiasm seems to imply the scarcity of overly technical filmmaking at this time in history, as well as Hitchcock applying basic tricks of cinema language unpretentiously, such as the description of Manny looking around his prison cell. There are 3 more points of interest I would like to address about the film itself. Firstly are the dashing touches of jazz in Bernard Herrmann's score, fitting to the film's content. Secondly, Manny's wife, portrayed by Vera Miles, undergoes a brutal onslaught of depression during the second half of the film, which is quite perturbing. Thirdly, and finally, this film's tone of being a kind of realistic nightmare granted a unique foothold in the Hitchcock canon, contrasting with the soft, surrealistic splendor of Vertigo or the naked, catastrophic fate of Psycho. The Wrong Man is a grounded, unsettling experience, both grim and unromantic, yet atmospherically nightmarish. This is one of Hitchcock's better films.